G'day guys, welcome back to Beers and Break-Evens, brought to you by Blue Wealth Property. The Tony and the team, they've got a heap of seminars and educational meet and greets and whatnot over the next few weeks. If you want to have a look in the description, all the links are there in all the different cities. We're hoping to get Tony or the great Morts on in the next few weeks to give you a few more details, but there is plenty there in the description. Welcoming my co-host, Timmy. What's doing, mate? Still drunk from Monday or what?
Yeah, well, it was funny. So I do that many bloody podcasts these days that when I woke up Sunday afternoon when the Finney tweet went out on social media from you sticking it to me as per usual, just something different. I thought it was a Wednesday at 8 a.m. I thought it was a Beers and Break-Evens job. Got in for the bloke in a bar potty on Monday morning and I saw the Finn rock up and I said, oh shit, I've got this wrong. So, mate, to be honest, it was bloody good.
It looked good. Yeah, it looked good.
Yeah.
The fin smells great over there too.
Yeah, and the fin, for anyone wanting to do a Finny in future, it was very durable. There was no leakage. It was well designed.
We actually didn't test it out before we did it. So when you started pouring, I thought, oh
shit,
fuck, this could be terrible. I did not test this at all. Guys, also brought to you by Bloke in a Bar. Timmy obviously murdered a Finny the other day, filled with Bloke, the best beer in the land. And we will be at the Great Western Hotel in Rockhampton this Friday night, 6 p.m. That is obviously Queensland time, so two-headed time, not New South Wales time. I can't fucking wait.
Yeah, speaking of murdering some tins, mate, we ripping the scabs off a few on Friday night, weren't we, in Rocky? And it's been 2 unreal weeks, so I'm tipping Rocky could be a bit of a rowdy one, just quietly.
I think it's going to be unreal.
Yeah,
I can't wait. So if you are nearby, come and say hello, come visit us. As per usual, we will have 2 Beers and Break-Evens hats for the first SuperCoach nuts that come and find us. I had a few people last week that came up late in the show and said, got any hats? I said, oh, sorry, have to look at the boys over there. The 2 boys from Penrith came home with theirs. How good?
Yeah, drove from Penrith to Wagga for the show. Well-deserved claimers of said hats.
And just quietly, that's our back-to-back live shows where Panthers fans have come home with the hats.
Yeah.
So, bit of pressure there. Are there any Raiders fans out there? I haven't. Anyway. But yes, Friday, 6 p.m, the Great Western Hotel in Rocky. If you are there, come and say hello to myself and Timmy, talk some SuperCoach, grab a hat. South Roosters that night. Maddie's going to be in a state.
Yeah, isn't it? Oh, it's going to be an absolute treat watching it with the big fella.
Going to be sensational. Come visit myself, Timmy, Kempy, Maddie, the water boy will all be up there.
In the live show, we actually had a Beers and Break-Evens SuperCoach question. Kempy loved it, didn't he?
Absolutely loved it. Had no idea. Don't think he even knew what it was.
No.
So it was great. Great times. Okay. Results this week. I had one of the great bed shits of all time, and I am no stranger to a bed shit. This was a fucking special one from me, though. 851. I'd like to say I scored more on my draft team, but believe it or not, my draft team had an even bigger bed shit. So, SuperCoach-wise, I said to you, a Thursday, Friday night, I just went, fuck this. Fuck this. Got to Saturday to the point where Jacob Preston was named to start. Got him an anytime try scorer, 850. Thanks for coming. Didn't even put him in my SuperCoach team. That's how off the radar I was. So, a very early dummy spit, not uncharacteristic of me, but very early for it. Hurts. How'd you go?
Quite well, the Stalls made. Good bounce back week of 10.47. So I found it just quite interesting and I sort of learned a lot about myself in the last week and I suppose the last 12 months, especially SuperCoach-wise, that just need something on the line, need sort of a state to be playing for something each and every week. And last year, of course, you're playing for the top prize of 50K, but a bloody hard thing to achieve and to win it. So the second you put something on the line, mate, you crumbled under pressure and the mighty Stalls, we thrived on it.
Sure did. Speaking of the Stall, hand it over because you get the big dog this week.
Thank you, mate. You can be a temporary holder of the Stall. I'll take
the Stall.
I'll take the Beers and Break-Evens Cup for the week.
Oh, geez, the Stalls are special.
It just looks more natural, doesn't it?
You reckon?
Yeah.
It's weird. It's got my name on it from last year. Anyway, enjoy it whilst you've got it. In saying that, based on my form this week, I might never get it back. So,
hey, mate,
fingers crossed.
I'll give you a bit of slack. The injury gods weren't nice to you.
Didn't want your sympathy, but I will happily take it. Take it. I'll take it all on board. Okay, so I'm ranked 61,000 overall. Where are you ranked at the moment?
Up to 15,000. So sitting all right. Very happy with that, to be honest. As I said, it's normally a slow start, so that's probably better than previous years after round 2. And it's a good show today. We did the Playbook podcast last night. There are so many different avenues we can go down with our trades. People are talking, selling Teddy, selling Cleary. I think every man is dogly trade boosting this week. People have got a lot of fires to put out. Some have bugger all. You add in the fact that Cheese was named this week. I think teams weren't overly diverse the first few rounds, and you sort of think, no, not another one of these seasons, but I think we're about to see things blown wide open this week.
Plenty of changes, and we'll get to it very soon as one of our key topics, but have that little column of break-evens open and in front of you this week, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's everything.
It's everything. And, mate, I bring that up because we obviously, we've added a lot of listeners this year. Just off the top, what's a break-even? For people out there new to the game, what is it?
Yeah. So, SuperCoach, particularly early on in the season, it's all about making money. And we'll get to touch on that a little bit more later. But break-evens, essentially, it is the magic number a player needs to score on any given week to either make money or lose money. So, for example, this week, you look at someone like Jermaine Hopgood, a negative 139 break-even, which is absolutely obscene. What does that mean, the negative? Well, he can take the field, play 1 minute, score 1 point, and he's making a ton of cash because of how big his first 2 weeks were, because he's cheap. At the same time, James Tedesco, who's top dollar, had 2 slow weeks, he has a break-even of positive 135. So if he scores anything less than 135, he's dropping cash this week.
Hasn't that Hopgood just come from nowhere?
Who saw that coming?
Could you imagine, though, if Hopgood hadn't have played, I think it's 7 sporadic games of first grade before arriving at Parramatta, and he was at, his break-even would be the 180 mark. It's insane.
It's funny, mate. We... someone would say that Ruben Cotter was your crowning glory as a rugby league analyst, calling the origin early last year, but I reckon Hopgood's got it.
I don't reckon Cotter's on the podium anymore.
Nah.
I think Hopgood takes it.
I mean, we'd seen enough of Cotter to say, look, he's obviously very handy, but you basically called Hopgood from New South Wales Cup, so I think it's your finest moment. And look, it's not a Group 1 field, but that was a good one, mate.
Yeah, New South Wales Cup. I was there at the birth, so I've seen it all. Now, our weekly winner. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but I believe we've got a Bulldogs fan named Romeo. His team named Romeo the Bulldog. 12.71 he scored this week. So, Romeo, reach out. What a name, Romeo. I feel like I would have got some girls throughout my lifetime if my name was Romeo. I was going to say more. I think it's better to say some.
Good save. He'd be doing all right for himself.
He'd be doing well for himself. So, Romeo, reach out, mate. Beers and breakevens at gmail.com. I'll be sending out the week 1 prize winners and week 2 next Tuesday, so try and get it into me ASAP. We've obviously got the Queensland tours and everything, so I'll probably do them every 2 weeks, I think, because on a scale of places I hate most in the world, the post office, right up there.
You're a busy man. You do the hard yards for this podcast. So if it's 2 to 4 weeks, don't get your knickers in a knot. We'll get the prizes.
You'll deal with it. You'll be there. All right. Yeah. So reach out, Beers and Break-Evens. Now, mate, I have also got a special shout out. The guy that got the 7th overall score in our comp this week. His team name is Guru is my idol. So if you want to reach out to me too, Josh, I'm actually worried it might be my brother taking the piss out of me. But if it's not my brother, Josh, reach out. I might send you a hat your way.
You're aware that in the rules of SuperCoach that 2 accounts, mate, you can't win the overall prize. And so if you do, if on the extremely off chance that you do come first overall, I will be dobbing you in, regardless of where I finish.
I'm in some curry all of a sudden.
Yeah, and that it also disqualifies you from the Beers and Break-Evens Cup as well.
Now, special shout out to it's Guru is my hero from Josh. It probably is my brother taking the piss out of me. But anyway, shout out to the guy coming first in our club. You will absolutely love his team name, the Nigel Plum Fan Club.
Oh, stop it!
How good!
I wonder if there's a fella on Twitter. I haven't actually seen him for a while. He's probably blocked me, to be fair. Wouldn't blame him. Nigel Plum's Shoulder, one of my favourite Twitter account names. So if it's the same bloke, unreal. So
shout out to Henry, Nigel Plum Fan Club leading. Jack, who's got as much creativity as the Japanese flag, named Jack's team. He's coming second. And then, mate, how good's this? We had the Nigel Plum Fan Club. He's from Wagga, all that region, isn't he?
Plummy, yep.
Yeah. Coming third is the Wagga Maniacs, Jay. Ooh. So I think we might have 2 Wagga boys where we were last Friday night in the top 3.
They're a proud sporting area.
Gave them a few tips on Friday night. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
We had someone reach out. I put up an Ellie Katoa video yesterday from bloke in a bar, and people said, we were talking about Eli Katoa on Friday night. I'm like, yeah, we were.
Number 4 is Kyle. His team name is Carry Gun. And Jacob, this might be your burner, Savage Like Xavier. Love that in
That's
5th
me,
place.
Mate.
That's good. So, yeah, guys, make sure if you're not in the group already, make sure you join. 353745. We'll have the code somewhere up here anyway, but 353745.
What do you win, mate? What do you win, mate?
50K.
Whoa.
Well, you probably will win 50K if you win ours, but
Sorry
anyway.
about that, Tony and Bluewell.
Yeah.
We've just up 45K.
5K, cash prize, cold hard cash, no strings, no bullshit, 5,000. And if you're an NRL club member, an extra $500 on top of that from the great man, Tony. How good is he?
Yeah. North Sydney Bears, Newtown Jets, they both count.
They all count. They're all there. All right. Should we get into team list, mate? Because, good God, bit to touch on.
Gee, there is. And you know, my favourite thing about it as a footy nerd and as a Supercoach nerd, not a lot of it was direct impact on Supercoach players as such. It was just blokes coming back, particularly middles, forwards, that impact other players. So I feel like that's where Guru we can come in and lend a bit of a hand to people who work normal 9 to 5s and don't have as much time to consume footy.
100%. It's not writing on the wall stuff, is it?
Yeah.
You've got to do a bit of a dive into it and have a look. And so let's kick off with the Thursday night game. Manly versus Parramatta at Brookie Oval. Manly coming off a bye. I'm expecting a W here for them at Brookie. The big news, Joshy Schuster comes back in. I think it goes without saying, Tim, but for those people that haven't played before or whatnot, wait 2 weeks on Schuster. Don't rush him in.
That's it, mate. So a very big one for rookie Supercoaches is prices don't change until they've played 3 rounds. So Schuster can play the next 2 weeks and his price won't move. So for someone who had his obviously issues in NRL last year, struggled to make the Manly side, ended up being a plotter off the bench, playing 10 minutes a game and became a trap for anyone who jumped on. You know, I don't think it will happen again, but if that does happen again, or he's coming back from injury, mate, if he aggravates that injury, you've burned a trade. So there's no need to do that early. We saw on the weekend so many injuries, HIAs, all sorts of things. So lesson be learned, and there are more important buys than Josh Schuster this week. Lock him in for 2 weeks' time.
Take me, for example. I've got Kalen Ponga. I'm actually going to hold KP for the next week or 2, just because he's not going to lose money, and I'm just waiting to downgrade him to Schuster. Yeah, completely fine with it. So don't go early on Schuster. There's so many other options out there to make money. Just fucking chill.
Yeah.
Especially because you can get him in 2 positions.
And we'll get into it early as well, so that people are thinking, oh, geez, there's way too many trades these boys are making this week. It's a boost week if you've ever seen one, isn't it? I'll be using one of my 5 trade boosts. Again, that gives you the luxury of using 3 trades this week. 5 rounds in the season, you get 1 extra trade, you can activate that. No, you can't double boost and use 4. You can use up to 3, but it's a great week for trade boost.
And if you use a boost next week, I'd go, yep, fair play.
Yeah,
I'm all for
definitely.
it. So definitely use a boost this week, 100%. Don't get cute with it. Ryan Madison, he will return next week, so no real changes to Parramatta outside of Brad Arthur. Do you reckon the guy that does the interchange on the sideline doesn't have a walkie-talkie with him, or what the fuck is going on there? I love it. It's great for Supercoach, but what he's doing?
I mean, it's great for Hopgood, isn't it? Someone said to me the other day, they were like, you know what, mate, Hopgood, he's unbelievable, but there's a bit of hype in that. They go, people don't look at the 2 missed tackles he made that led in tries. I'm like, fair, but I'm like, he played 84 minutes in round 1 as a middle, made 8,000 tackles, 9,000 runs. I'm like, I'll let him off the hook on that one. I'm putting that squarely on Brad Arthur for playing obscene minutes both weeks.
I spoke about him for the last 6 months. At no point did I say he should be playing more than 70 minutes. It's fucking ridiculous. That is solely on Brad Arthur's head. But anyway, it will be interesting to see when Matto comes back, what changes if he plays mass minutes.
Mate, We've spoken off air and had polarising opinions on where Maddo comes back in. I think that he has to come back on the edge, at least just until Sean Lane's back. And I know the importance of him as a middle, but I know they're not loaded with middles. I know they've got 2 edge back rows on the bench, but I think Makatoa's a good footballer. I think he's a good middle. I look at the weakness in this Parramatta lineup. It's essentially the same grand final 13, or not the same 13s last year, but the edges are the weaknesses that I see in Cartwright and Dury. Not saying they're poor footballers, but I see the opportunity to lock down one of those edges with Ryan Madison. And I'm keen to see where this ends up next week, mate, but I think Maddo comes back on the edge. Which edge it'll be, I don't know. What you're still in the camp of it'll be a middle?
There's no doubt in my mind whatsoever. I think the evidence so far is pointing that he will be a middle. You just said Makatoa's a good footballer. Put him on the fucking field. Why isn't he? He obviously doesn't trust him.
Yeah.
What is he going to play him on an edge, and then is he going to let Junior, RCG, and Hopgood play another 70 minutes for the next 6 weeks? How's that going to work?
Well, he's done it the first 2 rounds and hasn't used his net.
They've also lost both games because he got tired bodies on the field.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Oh, if he's playing on the edge, I'm going to absolutely rip Brad a new one.
It's like him just saying I've only got 16 good players in my top 30 squad, and I only trust 16 to be on the field for me. Yeah.
And I mean, the 16th guy's only putting out there for 13 minutes. He's pretty much got 15 that he trusts.
I've got 15 that are good in my squad.
It's outrageous. I can't believe. And all the, I believe Hopgood, Junior, and Regan, they're all going to play Origin in the middle of the year. You're going to have no players there. He's going to run them ragged. The two front rowers just played a World Cup. Both front rowers went all the way to the final. I can't believe. I don't think I'm trading in Bryce Cartwright this week. That's how confident I am.
And they've also just to make it even more uncertain, they've just let go of Nathan Brown. Another middle.
Wow.
Who's proven.
Yeah. And when the bright lights came, you're on the biggest stage in your club's history. Oh, not your club's history, it's been a long time. Yeah. You brought Nathan Brown into the side for the grand final. I cannot work out what is going on there.
Cardi's not an interesting one, mate. He's break even neg 49, 234k. I think I wrote in my analysis this week that on any other given week, you would not think twice and you'd lock him straight into your trades. I just think because I don't knock the trade by any means. Yep. I think I'm prioritising other trades. My 2RF, my back row, I'm very happy with, and I really want to get Eli Katoa in. So I don't have room to get another back rower in.
Fair. I'll tell you what, I would pay a large sum of money to be a fly on the wall in the room when Brad Arthur says to Junior, Regan and Jermaine, hey, I know you've been working your dick off. Matto's had a 3-week break because he didn't want to play. I'm going to put him out on the edge though, guys. That's one way to turn your pack against you, in my opinion.
Yeah. You could be on the money, mate. You could. I'm interested to see it.
I mean, what I understand what your perspective is. It makes no sense to me, but what he's done so far makes no sense to me.
Without digressing too far, if McIntyre did play his 30, 35 minutes and it was a normal bench rotation, they've got a freaking 4-forward bench and it was a normal bench rotation.
Carrying a utility.
Yeah, in that sense, would you be like, all right, sweet, let's put Matto on an edge?
No, I don't think they can afford if we watched their last 2 games, they need him in the middle. They're lacking punch there. I think Bryce Cartwright's done really well. I'm not a huge fan of Matt Dory, but he's done a job. I don't think he's been bad. I just don't think that they can afford to not have him there.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it plays out.
I mean, around Cardi, he'll play his 80 again this week, make a ton of cash, and then all go under plan, he keeps his spot, so sweet.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a bad trade.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I can't work out what's going on there. Friday, 6 p.m, Knights v Dolphins coming to us from Newcastle. The Newcastle Knights are out. KP, Brayley, Elliott, Jasaf, Frizzell, pretty handy. Other guys have come in, none that are overly relevant, realistically. Mars Hughes, still on the extended.
Margie on the extended, I have put a line through him for as long as Kalen Ponga's out.
Yes, I agree.
I was very close to having him round 1 in my side. As good as Margie is Supercoach-wise, I just saw him scoring a lot of tries with KP on the left. If KP's not there, I struggle to touch a Knights player, to be honest. Leo Thompson, Brodie Jones, Jack Hetherington will all be big watchers in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you definitely can't touch anyone on that left edge without KP.
I don't think you can touch anyone at the Knights. And it's harsh because they've just had one of their best wins in years, one of the toughest wins. They're just decimated, mate. They've had so many injuries.
Yeah, for sure. Dolphins, Jeremy Marshall-King out. Nick Arima comes in. The other kid will come off the bench. Ray Stone also back on the bench. Nothing huge to touch on there with the Dolphins, right?
Nothing's changed except that 9 slot, so... A few JMK owners out there a little bit disappointed, but nothing too interesting.
They'll be fresh coming off a training run against the Raiders. 8 p.m, Allianz Stadium, Chooks v Rabbitohs. Chooks, Matty Lodge out, Radley and JWH back in. Nothing overly Supercoach relevant here.
Nothing too much there, mate. I do like, though, that you just laughed at your own joke. You know it's a good one when you laugh at your own joke on air.
I've been thinking about it since Saturday too. The other one, I guess, is that Cheese has been named. I'm still trading him, but Cheese has been named. So if you've got too many other fires to put out, it's not a train wreck.
Yeah, I think Cheese is a trade, mate. And the way I see it is there are just some really good hooking options this week to trade in. So he's got the 7 or 10 or whatever it ended up being in his rolling average, the Cheese. So that'd be he's actually going to 10. He's going to drop money from his 478k. I would be surprised if he played this week. I know it's a Bunnies game, fierce rivalry, but Cheese knows nothing about it. He's come from Melbourne. They've got the bye next week.
Yep.
And the risk with Cheese as well is that it's the rib cartilage injury, I'm pretty sure they said. So cleared of anything serious, but rib cartilage, which becomes pain tolerance. Think Joe Tapine in the back end of last season. I think Dave Fafita had similar at one point, or he might have had spasms, I don't know. But at any point, it gets a weird knock, and it just becomes super painful. They go off. So I think Cheese is a sell.
Yep, I agree. South Sydney, Harmsele and Totola come back in, which is great for South Sydney in general. I think it hurts Shaq and Wiley.
Yes, it does. And like Franklin Pele to Shaq seems a relatively straightforward trade this week. Shaq played 50 minutes last 2 rounds. He's gone well. He's played good footy. I just think they are not the big minute forwards in this team. As I said, Sele comes back. Totola is a big minute forward. They've got Jai Arrow coming back at some stage who could come in as a middle. And, yeah, I think I'm going to hold off. Pele played 22 minutes on the weekend and looked pretty good. I think I'm going to hold off on that one.
Pele, he's so cheap. He's not going to lose you that much money. And if he plays one good 20-minute stint, he'll make money for 3 weeks.
You can see him coming out at some point in a good Doggies win and playing 25 minutes and just being the wrecking ball, this jagging 2 tries.
Yeah. And how often are you seeing nowadays in the modern game with HIAs where team lose 3 and 4 guys?
Good point.
If he just gets one game where he plays 50 minutes, you're going, gun.
Cash.
I'm making money for the next few weeks.
Because... Yeah, even though he's a big boy, I don't know what the fitness is like. I don't know how many minutes he can get in him. But as you said, there'll be games where he's forced to play it, being light on middles. I know TPJ's back soon, but as quick as he's back, they could lose another middle. So he doesn't need much time on field to score well.
For sure. And I think Shaq, he looks very appealing at the moment, but I still think with those other guys coming in, you need things to go your way for him to be relevant. And even when you do, it's not going to be game-changing. Yeah, is it worth a trade?
He could easily play like 25 minutes, if not this week, next week.
Yep.
So he needs to make that money very quick.
Yeah. So it's passed from me. Super Saturday, Titans v Storm, 3 p.m. from Super Stadium. What have we got? Verrills and Jojo Fafita out, neither on the extended. I will say this, Jojo Fafita not on the extended bench, as I said. So for me, I'm a little bit worried whether Campiera holds his spot, which is a huge kick in the dick to my classic and draft team. I'm getting used to it, though. But if Jojo was on the extended, that'd be a different story because he's not, I would assume he's carrying an injury or something this week.
So good point.
Makes me wonder if Campiera is safe moving forward. I wouldn't be trading him this week, but if he does drop out, you then make the move then, which I think he quite possibly could.
Hold strong for sure, but it's a good point. I missed that he'd missed the entire squad. So
not there.
Shit.
Tino's brother also makes his debut, so he'll be a guy we'll hopefully be talking about over the next few weeks. High upside there, obviously basement price. Melbourne Storm. Kamakamitha, Olam, Coates, Sims back. Pizzette makes his debut in the 14. Good to see the Melbourne Storm getting some cattle back. Anything overly Supercoach relevant jump out to you here?
Yeah, there is. And look, we'll speak a bit more about Eli Katoa later on, I'm sure, who I'm keen on. But a few things have popped around on social media asking about how does Sims and a few of these Kamakamitha impact Eli Katoa's job security. I think Soft Solomona, who was playing sort of 50 to 55 minutes, the fact that he's now gone for 6 straight weeks, Tarek has to play as a middle, doesn't he?
I think so.
First things first. And Eli Katoa, I know things can turn in 1 week, but he was the least of their problems against the Doggies. I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah.
So I just think on merit alone, I think he keeps that spot. Bloke's coming back, maybe impacts the minutes of, say, Josh King. But, again, they've lost Nas, so we'll see. Sims
doesn't worry me in the slightest. The biggest worry I have is when Eisenhuth returns, to be honest with you. I still think Eli Katoa will hold it, but I think Eisenhuth is a bigger worry to him than what Tarek Sims is.
What do we know off the top of the head what edge Tommy Eisenhuth has played when he has?
I think he can play both.
He can play both, yeah. And I think that's the thing with Tommy. He's a good benchman because he can also play middle easily, he can play edge easily, he slots into centre when required. So it's a big back in the eye test with Eli Katoa. There are a few minor red flags around, but I'm just sitting here going, I thought he was terrific on the weekend. work rate's there, attacking upside's there, combination with Jerome Hughes, mint.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, no, I'm being very devil's advocate there. I think he will hold it.
But on a week like this, mate, where there are so many good buys and so many blokes should be able to make a ton of cash, you have to look at these little things and go, all right,
100%.
There's not a lot between the best and worst buys, so.
Yep, no, for sure. Okay, Cows Warriors 5:30 from KO Stadium. No, it's not. That's from last week. It is from North Queensland. Oh, we're doing our best work. Cowboys, Tom Chester makes his debut. Drinky is... what about Drinky owners? Good God. Send us an email. I'll send you a hat. I'll send you a trophy. I'll send it fucking all to you, you poor bastards.
Yeah.
Good God.
And that's... We knew he had some roller coaster ability in him, Drinky, but that was something else, wasn't it?
That was something special.
That was, yeah.
And to be honest with you, I had him in draft last year. Back end of the season, he won me a heap of games, but he won me a heap of games where he was on 10 with 15 minutes to go and finished on 90. Yeah. He did it a few times last year. So, yeah, tough one there. The kid that is making his debut, Tom Chester, have a 3-week gig. Very, very talented player. Rate him highly. But I get a vibe that he won't be a huge Supercoach scorer. I think he'll be a better footballer than he is Supercoach scorer from what I've seen of him.
Can I need you to elaborate on that, mate? What do you feed us the goods?
Oh no, I just from when I've watched him play, you watch him play, and he's got all the nice touches. He does everything right. He gets to the end of the game, and the stats just don't tend to be there. And that's just from what I've seen in Queensland Cup. Maybe it's changed, but like I remember watching him play a couple of games last year. And every time I watched him, he looks electric and he looks great and he's laying on tries. Then I checked his stats last night, and I think he finished last season with 6 try assists or something. Whereas every time I watched him, it felt like he was laying something on, you know what I mean? So I just don't think he's going to collect... he's only going to be there for 3 weeks, I think. But hopefully he can score a few tries and put himself in the right spots.
Devastated as a Val owner that he didn't sneak the fullback spot. I know it's not game-changing, but...
I'm not ruling it out just yet.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm not ruling it out just yet. I think they will likely run like this, but it wouldn't surprise me if they do make a change and Val goes there and maybe you see Tommy Chester go back to the bench, maybe. We'll see how it plays out.
What, potentially Granville at centre?
Maybe, or bring in someone else. I'm not...
Brendan Elliott, sorry.
Brendan Elliott.
Yeah, I did predict the team start of the week, and I had... Probably more hopeful than anything, to be fair. I had Shibasaki and Elliott at centre with Val at fullback, so definitely a chance.
Yeah. Still, I'm not ruling it out. I'll tell you what,
if it does happen, I'm tempted Val captain on a tough week, but at centre, I can't. I'm not doing it, I don't think.
Yeah.
I'll get captain soon, but...
Yeah, I just think that if it was round 17 and the wheels had fallen off the Warriors, I just worry that, it's hard the early part of this season, isn't it? It's brutal.
Can't wait to get the captain's chat. We did last night playbook and we were all just like, I have no bloody idea.
Yeah, but more to your point, Val becomes appealing because there's not much else out there.
Exactly.
And I think I'm going to end up having my second Thursday night captain in a row. Ooh. Which is potentially... Well, we'll have that argument.
How'd it go for you last week?
Didn't go well, and gee whiz, didn't the hindsight heroes put their capes on and come out to play? Fuck me. Good God. All right, for the New Zealand Warriors, unreal game this. The 2 fullbacks, both debutants, both that I rate very, very highly. Tane Torpiki, he's debuting for the Warriors at 1. Yep.
Good pronunciation, mate. You've done your work.
Was playing for the Bears last year in the Q Cup. This is a guy that I think will be very Supercoach relevant. Unfortunately, he only gets 1 game. But I think last year, he played 23 games. I think it was 14 tries, 22 try assists, 23 line breaks. So he's got huge upside. Yeah, playing up there for the mighty Burleigh Bears, one of the great clubs all time. So one to watch there, but it is only a 1-week thing. But I think, and look, he's only there because Metcalf is injured as well. If Chance was out for 3 to 4 weeks, I'd tell you to keep an eye on him because it wouldn't surprise me if they maybe move Chance to centre if this guy makes a big splash. Okay. But with the 1 week, I don't think I didn't even get him in draft last night.
And what about Chance, mate? Enough out there who bought him. He was terrific round 1, had his HA last week. Going for 1 week, you got to hold him, don't you?
Hold him, yeah. Don't outthink the room.
Not worth busting trades for.
If Chance is your biggest issue, put your feet up and just enjoy the week.
So he'll come out next week and probably score another 7. You'll be like, people will be looking to buy him. So
yeah, I think with HIAs, it's a 1 week thing. Just let it go.
Yeah, it is. It happens.
It happens. Shit happens. It's going to happen to everyone throughout the year. So just deal with it. Now, Jackson Ford, HIA last week, missing this week. One of my many injuries in my draft team that was fun to watch. Also fucked every same game multi I had. That was fine. Missing this week, and we copped a lot of stuff. We copped a lot of shit last week saying that, Jazz could come into the squad, guys could move around, but who's a middle? How's that going to affect Ford? Oh, it's because it can affect Barnett and he can move around, and fucking shock me a week later, Barnett on the edge. This is the worry with Jackson Ford. And if you brought him week 1, respectfully, sympathy is very minimal.
Yeah, I know. And that's what I say. Wait a week. When round 1, every year, wait a week. There are anomalies. We need to see how things play out. There are players coming back. And again, HS calls it, Ford may come back in and go back into an 80-minute role. But like another thing, Murata Niokora was unreal in last week.
Yep.
Who had played 60 minutes the week before. Does that flip and he becomes the 80-minute man and Ford becomes 60 on it. It's like, as a non-Ford owner, I'm sitting there going, thank God, because he was one I had earmarked of, if he came out, played 80 again and went well, I was like, oh, that'll probably have to be one of my trades this week. Yep. I was going to get Eli Katoa last week, last minute. I was just really keen on him, had a good feeling. And I said, no, I was happy with my 2RF. And I was thinking, if Ford comes out and kills it, Garner or Wilton or someone was going to have to go to him. And I didn't want to tear my 2RF apart. So I held off. Now that Ford's not an option this week, I'm like, oh, that gives me some breathing space.
100%. And coming back to that point as well, when we warn you about guys, we're not saying it for the sake of it, because when guys come in, there can be a domino effect of other guys moving. And Barnett is the classic fucking example.
Yeah. And 40 hold, like chance.
Yep. Yeah. See what happens. Because I reckon there's a really good chance the coach will go, hey, you won the spot in the first place. You can have it back.
For sure.
It's yours to lose. But Mitch Barnett, very quality edge back rower as well. So it'll be tough. All right, let's move to the main game Saturday night. The Broncos taking on the Dragons. Corey Oates out. Jesse Arthur's in for the Dragons. No changes. Still no Jack DeBellin. I believe that Jack will be back next week or the week after, is what I've been told. But I thought he'd be back this week, to be perfectly honest with you. But I've been told that he is on track for his return. NRL site said round 3. So I think it should be next week.
It sounded like he's been very close the whole time. So obviously that impacts Jack Bird's role at lock, Ben Murdoch, Masilla, who cheapie option for next week. We'll touch more on him a little bit later. But
is what it is. We'll see how it plays out. Sunday, we've got the Doggies and the Tigers from Belmore. Love a game at Belmore for the Dogs. Preston starts. Ockenbaugh in the 14. I like the bench for Franklin Pele, Ockenbaugh and New Brown. I like that for him. I wouldn't be panicking on Pele. Preston getting the start. That is fucking unreal. I'm stoked that we started with him. And I think he's going to be a guy that a lot of people will go to other people before Preston. And I reckon we might have ourselves a sneaky little weapon here.
If at the very least, we save the trade from round 1 and people, So any listeners who jumped on that one, happy days. Better yet, if you played him last week, I actually had Tanner Boyd plugged in as my 17th man, a reluctant 17th man last week. As soon as Preston was starting, I went, thank you. Starting first try scorer.
Not only first try scorer, there was another 2 or 3 times I'm like, he could have scored there. So much potential there. And hopefully the Doggies, round 1 was just a flash in the pan bullshit game for them.
Yeah. Do we see any issue with TPJ coming back, Fatal and Mariner to the edge, Preston to the bench?
I don't think so. I think Preston, I think he provides too much on the edge. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play 80 minutes on the edge.
Yeah.
But I reckon he'll be at least a 60-point guy there. He's good defensively. And he's just, mate, that's what Canterbury, a guy like him is what Canterbury's been built on. Just a fucking goer.
Yeah.
He is perfect for them, and he looks like a younger Ronnie Palmer. So I'm picking him every day of the week. There is no doubt about it whatsoever.
And TPJ is not going to be a big minute man this year. He'll play his 45-50, I reckon, max.
Yep.
And he'll come on as a middle. Fatal and Mariner, out of his own mouth, TPJ said he's playing prop this year.
Yep.
Fatal and Mariner, I think they like as a... he can play edge or middle very easily, but I'm with you. I just think Preston, he looks the goods.
The Tigers, Dane Laurie out, Isaiah Papali'i out, Tommy Talau out, Simpkin out. Staines comes in at 1. Junior Tupu makes his debut on the wing, one that I'm very high on. I think he'll be a good footballer. Staffatoa comes in, but probably the biggest news of the week, Batman makes his first appearance on the extended bench. Johnny Bateman.
Yeah.
Fuck. I'm not sure if there's anyone in the world right now the Tigers need more than a John Bateman to walk in there and go, hey, pull your finger out of your ass, let's get this shit sorted.
The best thing about Bateman is people sort of said, his form last year in the Super League for Wigan was not terrific. He's dealing with this ankle injury. He's had a delayed start to the season, and they're not sure how much of an impact he'll have. The footy impact's like irrelevant. It's just what he does, Johnny Bateman, the presence he has on other players to get them up and say, mate, I'll die for you. I want you to die for me. And players just lift around him. So even if he's not the superstar we saw in the NRL when he was with the Raiders a few years back, it's not the end of the world. He'll have such an impact on this. What they would have given for him last week when they were in the trenches and battling.
Saw a quote from James Graham this week that just sort of said, when John Bateman's on the field, you're too scared to make a mistake.
There you go.
And that's the impact that you need. We'll say this with the Tigers. If Tim Sheens, Benji, Robbie, Appy, IPAP and John Bateman don't turn this around, what do you do? Fold her up. I don't want to have a bye this weekend anyway, to be honest with you.
Just separate back to the Magpies and down, mate, and we'll see how
give
they
the
go.
Pies a shot.
Yeah.
Fuck. Absolute carnage. Raiders Sharks 6:15 in Canberra. I think we've both got this as our upset of the week, don't we?
We do. We'll talk about desperation stakes, mate. The Raiders 0-2, both very tight losses. Sharks, a little bit confident. They knocked off Para last week, but it's too big a game for the Raiders. Their first game back home. I think they will be absolutely up for this one.
Mariota out. Mooney comes in. Still no Josh Papali'i. No real huge impact there for us at all.
No, the only one kind of is like anyone who did jump on Pasami Solo with no Papali'i still. They've sort of kept that one hush-hush, haven't they? Well played.
Yeah.
So any Solo ones will be going sweet. More okay minutes for him, and maybe he can eke a bit of coin.
And I'll just point out once again, Josh Papali'i, calf injury, same as Nico Hines.
Yeah.
Both expect to be back, not here. Nico came out and said that he'll be back next week. I personally don't think he will be. Happy to be wrong. I don't think he will be.
Mate, that is so significant because I had Braden Trindle locked into my trades this week. Like, if Nico doesn't come back for 3 or 4 weeks, I think Trindle is just a possibly trade of the week. And then I spoke to you and you mentioned you're not convinced. And you got a bit of mail guru. You know some people.
No, I just don't think they're going to bring him back. I've heard some things. We've heard some things that aren't positive at all that kind of make sense. And, when I posted that thing 5 weeks ago about it, Cronulla, good as gold. He's sweet.
Still not.
Round 3, where is he? Not even on extended. Nothing doing. They also won last week. If they manage to get a win here, I don't reckon you see him until the bye. I really don't. Why would you risk a Dally M player who he was good to go through 2 weeks ago, apparently, still not here? Why?
All right, well, I mean, this is a real money where the mouth thing, isn't it? Because I think Trindle's arguably buy of the week if we do think he's... I'm going to spend my next 24 hours just digging to try and get more information, but I think Trindle's close to buy of the week if we think Nico's gone for another few weeks, and it'll completely restructure my trades this week. My concern is that if he does come back next week, it'd almost be like, all right, if Trindle drops out of the squad, I'm sure he'll get his games at some point here or there and get his cash rises with that, neg 54 break even. But if he goes back to 14 and it just kills him.
Even if he doesn't, you can't waste a halfback spot.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. So that's why I'm like...
And look, I think Trindle's a really good buy. I'm not confident enough on my take on Hines to go Trindle, but I think you're playing with fire because I think it's been pretty evident that Cronulla are just trying to... It's all good, all sweet, all's okay. They're just trying to keep the media away from them, I think, personally.
And you're right in that if they win, they won't need to rush him back. If they lose, they don't need to rush him back as such. But if they win, it's like, well, just give him time.
Why would they bring him back?
Yeah.
That's so. I don't think he'll be back next week. I don't think you'll see him till after the bye, personally, Nico. But see how it plays out. You've got to take him at his word, what he said last week. Connor Tracy out. Your boy Jackie Williams comes back in. Outside of that, no real changes for the Sharkies. Mate, your deep dive this week. We've got a couple of topics. I guess the first one, I think for experienced players, they will well and truly understand this. But for some of you newer guys that maybe, like take my position, for example, I scored 800 last week. If I was new to the game, I'd go, fuck, I've fallen behind in points. I'm 40,000 ranks behind Tim. I'm actually 180 points behind you. Don't panic.
It can be flipped in one gun, captain. Look, it's something that I've gone on about with SC Play for a long time, and it's playing the long game, not the short game. And you say for experienced super coaches, they're probably around it. They're not. Like, lots and lots of people out there aren't. The temptation, it's essentially, do you chase money this week in the next 2 to 3 weeks, or do you chase points? And to use a good example of that is, do you chase Tohu Harris, who is probably going to go up a little bit in value, probably going to continue to score really well, looks a terrific buy, but not much more value change? Or do you go someone like, say, Eli Katoa or Wade Egan, who, across the course of the season, who's going to score more points out of those guys? Probably Tohu Harris, but you need to build your bank. So I immediately just go to, all right, Tohu, once someone like Stefano Udakamanu fattens up, makes his cash in 3 weeks, I'll look to bring in someone like Tapani or Tohu Harris. But this week, we haven't had any price changes. We've had a free look at players. You've got to be going for that cash. So that's where someone like Wade Egan will come in. He'll make you quick cash. If you don't own Harry Grant, he can become Harry Grant for you for, say, 50 to 100K in 2 to 3 weeks. Whereas Tohu Harris, sweet, who might go out there and continue to pump out 75 to 80 for you, and he might make 50K. But in terms of your squad value, it stays around about the same. So play the long game, build your bank. It's my philosophy that I've had every year I've played Supercoach. I said from the start that I always start slow because I start with quite a well-rounded 25-man squad of blokes who will generate me cash. People start with a strong 17 and a weak bench. They start fast, I start slow. It's something that I believe in quite strongly, play that long game.
And people will start fast with one Tohu Harris this week. We're going to get to round 20 and you're going to have 3 Tohu Harrises.
Exactly right. And that's the person who buys Tohu Harris this week, and maybe I buy someone like Eli Katoa or Wade Egan, they might outscore me. Sweet. I'm not worried for that exact reason.
Yeah, exactly right. Long game always. Now, speaking of the cheapies that we need to target, you've got a top 5 cheapies that are sub 350K for us. If you don't have these guys, I would advise getting them in. Who have you got?
Really hard. This was difficult. Jermaine Hopgood is obviously the number one at 298K with a negative 139 break even. Now, that sounds too obvious, but 68% of coaches own him, 32% don't, which is mind-blowing. Darusi was on last night with his data analysis. I think the stat was in the top 20,000 teams, 98% own Hopgood. So that shows where the ownership stats on side are skewed, doesn't it?
Yeah, wow.
But regardless, if you're in the 32% listening right now and you don't own him, obviously get him in.
Make it move. You have to do it. Don't think it twice. Our boy, your boy, actually, I shouldn't claim him. My boy's Hopgood. Your one's Jacob Preston. Tell us about him.
Jacob Preston, 200K, negative 51 break even. We spoke about him before, mate. He's playing 80 minutes on the edge. I think sometimes you've just got to back the eye test, the word out of the camp. They loved him all pre-season. They said he was set for big things, and in his first starting appearance, he was the first try scorer against the Melbourne Storm in Melbourne and looked likely at all times. So I've got him at number 2 on my list, and obviously I own a few of these guys already, but I can see why you might have more pressing trade. People will be happy with their 2RF, so they might not be able to get in Jacob Preston, but I've got him pretty high up.
2 things on Jacob Preston. 1, he's overrated. 2, we've got a shocking eye, so just avoid him.
Exactly right. Yeah, got plenty wrong before. So
stay away from him.
Yeah.
Here I am with KP. Fucking idiot. Okay, number 3 on your list. Katoa of the Isaiah variety. Jeez, it's all our boys here, just quietly.
It is all our boys.
Until the next one, but we'll get to him in a minute.
Yeah.
It's a big fall off the cliff there. But Isaiah Katoa, mate, he's made good money. I think he looks 2 wins on the board. I think he's probably safe as houses still, round 10 or so.
Exactly. And I was really nervous about Isaiah Katoa going into round 1 just because I was obviously critical of the Dolphins, as we know. The job security-wise, I was like, all right, is this an early kick up the arse from Milford saying, mate, you'll be back around 2 or 3, but I'm willing to drop you from Wayne Bennett. Katoa's come in, settled in like a house on fire. Dolphins have looked terrific. He's about to make good cash. He's dual half at 5'8". He's cheap as chips. I just think he's scratching the surface for what he can do, and I think he's a very, very safe buy this week.
Question, houses on fire, do they often fit in?
Do houses on fire fit in?
Settled in like a house on fire. I love that one.
Oh, mate, you know that my calls are there not to be questioned because 90% of the time they don't make sense.
Speaking of not making sense, don't buy Hammer. He's a fucking trap. Don't buy him. He's going to score 7. He's going to score 8. He's got a break even of negative 60 this week, 330K. I'm going to come across like a stubborn prick here. I don't think he's a bad buy. I think you'll make money. Had 19 runs in the first week. Had 14 in the next week. He scored 2 tries because he's fast. Haven't really seen the ball playing or anything. I think it's a good money maker now, and I can understand it. But in 6 weeks' time, if the shitter scores start to come, just be prepared. Yeah.
So the disclaimer with Hammer is that he's got the negative 60 break even. Yep. He's set to make some really good cash, and that is why he's on this list. He goes down and plays the Knights this week, who are decimated. Like if you buy him, you don't even necessarily have to play him in your 17s. In fact, maybe this week is right, but I wouldn't even encourage you to play him in your 17. It's a money-making, get-rich-quick scheme, I suppose you'd call it. So I am tossing up Hammer possibly, but I'm on the fence, and I'm with you, mate. He still could come out and get 7 and 10. But with a neg 60 break even, what if he does come out and get to 80 or 90 again? He could make a ton of cash. And with the side the Knights running out this week, they'll be wounded after last weekend's game. They've got a quick turnaround from Sunday afternoon. He only needs one half-decent score, and there's some serious cash coming in. So I think he's a safe buy. He's a long way from being a safe play.
For sure. And I don't really back off any of my takes on Hammer from the preseason, but there is money to be made there. You've got the trades now to be able to get him in, make that money, then fuck him off.
Dual fullback centre, so...
Yeah, for sure. Stefano, mate. One of the luckiest meat pies of all time. It was almost a triple movement. We'll take it, though. 319K at the moment. Very good break even. I've started with him and Walsh, which is one of the few things I have done well. Very happy with how that's played out.
Yeah, negative, what is it? A negative 24 break even, but he's got the all important, the 78 from thank God for that try. Not thank God for it, like he was still going well, but there's money incoming for Stefano. And the best thing about him, another thing I was a little bit nervous on going into round one was starting with Cotter in my second front row. My playing front row was Stefano, and I went, need him to score all right. Otherwise, with a light front row forward bench, could be at risk. He's done a job for me early on. So very, very happy. And I think he remains a good buy at 319K. Money incoming. Looks pretty safe to me. And then the only other one I had bracketed, and we've spoken about him already, is Bryce Carter at 234K, neg 49 break even. I suppose he's not that high up on my list because, as I said, I don't have any issues with my 2RF.
Yep.
But as a buy, he looks pretty foolproof.
Yep, for sure. I think that also Stefano and Preston are classic examples about what we spoke about last week, that the round one score is the least important score of the entire season. They've now come out round two, scored tries. That's going to be in their rolling average for 2 weeks, which is fantastic. Guys that go well this week, absolute fucking gold to have there for 3 weeks. Huge. Now, mate, you got a bit of a stat deep dive on a couple of notable guys, and these guys are in plenty of conversations this week. There's one that I am very, very interested in, which we'll get to him soon, but Egan Butcher, 482K, 42 break even. I'm thinking I will sell him this week. I don't know if you're going to talk me out of it or not. What do you reckon?
I'm not going to talk you out of it, but if you've got fires to put out, he's not an urgent trade. It's really polarising me, Egan Butcher. First things first, I just don't think he's an edge. I think we looked at his SuperCoach stats from last season as a middle where he just worked his ass off and got through big numbers. He's been caught out on the edge defensively a few times because they've got a few middles coming back now, the Roosters, but they're just light on edges. So I begin to think he's just being played out of position. In round one, he scored 36 points. He had 10 minutes in the sin bin in that time. Everything that could go wrong for the Roosters, and Wade Egan did that game. He had negative 16 in minus points, penalties, errors, sin bin, all sorts of stuff. So the score's probably not as bad as it looked. Round two, again, not terrific for him. He came out 44 points. But again, it was not a lot went right for them. They had a lot of injuries, the Roosters. The stat that did alarm me when I was doing the dive into him was he's had 17 runs in 2 games, which for a big minute back rower isn't the best, but there's a lot worse out there, as we know. 10 of the runs he had were under 8 metres for 1 point, which is pretty substantial. Like when you see the better back rowers, 9 out of their 10 runs will be over 8 metres for 2 points. We're getting double points for it.
Yep.
So I thought that was a tough one. Egan Butcher will be moving on for me this week. It doesn't help that the Roosters have the bye next week as well. But if you need to hold him this week and you want to trade him later on, another look at him, I think that's fine.
I don't think you're going to lose money on Egan, but you want to be making money there.
Exactly right.
Yep.
And he's another one where, look, if he does find his form, the Roosters start to click, he jags the odd try, we can get him back in 3 to 4 weeks' time or 5 weeks, whenever that might be. But at the moment, it's just not happening for us.
I'm pretty confident that at some point he makes you 100, 150K. But for the amount of time you're going to have to wait and for the amount of money that, a Cardi, a Preston, these sort of guys are going to just make the move now.
Yeah, I overestimated his ability to move to an edge. I'd seen all of him as a middle, essentially, the odd glimpse on the edge, and I think he's more of an out-and-out middle.
Yeah, I think it'll come along as a middle, but we don't have time to wait for it.
Yeah.
And we've got too many other, better options around. Will Warbrick. I watched him very closely on the weekend. I've got my own takes on Will Warbrick that I'll mention in a second, but what have you got, mate?
Just a really interesting one that I found. So, started the season with a 33-point average. He had 5 tackle breaks against the Dogs on the weekend, had none against Parramatta. He hasn't recorded a single attacking stat this season. Try assist, line break, line assist. Week 1, no tackle breaks. He's had no offloads. So I'm just thinking, we need the Storm to come good for starters, but he hasn't done a thing, which from a Supercoach perspective makes me go, sweet, surely he can only get better.
Yeah, my argument with Warbrick, and from what I've seen of him this season that I've been watching, that right edge, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
They are all over the place. The ball hasn't got to him in the red zone.
Playing short to Ellie a lot.
All the time. The ball has not got to him at all. And he's got attacking upside. Played 14 games a cup last year, scored 10 tries, had 14 line breaks. He's got ability. We saw it in the trials. The ball hasn't got to him. Remus isn't letting go of the fucking thing, and Hughesy isn't getting it out there.
Yeah.
Hughesy's coming off that right foot or going to Eli Katoa every single time. I think he's got the base stats to be very good, and I think he will be okay. And tries will come. At some point, he's going to get kicks to him. It's going to come to him eventually. But I won't be playing him this week. I don't think I'll be playing him anytime soon, to be honest. I love the Titans matchup this week, but he's not getting ball.
Yeah, and originally I thought when Munster was out, sweet, he's on Hughes' edge.
Yep.
They'll get more ball there. Great for him, happy days. But you're right, it's just steps off that right all day, doesn't he, Hughes? Or plays short. When Munster is into the left winger at the Storm, Munster loves that float ball over the top. So, he's an absolute happy hold for him. He's bottom dollar, scoring okay, scratching the surface, but just becomes a very reluctant play in 17s.
Yep, I completely agree. I had him as an anytime try scorer with Jacob Preston and Multi on the weekend. It was one of the more frustrating things I've ever fucking watched. He just wasn't getting the footy in good ball. It's crazy. Now, next one. I'm trading him in this week. Unless you can convince me here, I think there's money to be made here, and I think he could be a genuine gun. Kiraz, 567k is not cheap. I'm going to watch your boner hit you in the chin, but Isaac Tungo to Kiraz for me this week. I'm wearing it.
It took 2 weeks for you to listen
Where's
to me.
the fin? Give me the fin.
2 weeks and 1 sub 850 score, and he listens to me. It's another proud moment.
Enjoy it.
I'll give you one thing, mate.
I almost didn't do it out of spite. And I thought, don't be an idiot.
Hey, Guru, the sign of a good super coacher is the ability to swallow their pride and take any bias out of it, take any ego out of it. You have to be as neutral as you can to the trades each week, and I commend you for making the move. I just wish you would have listened to me 2 weeks
Mate, from
ago.
one of the great swallowers of all time, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Jacob Kiraz. Not coming into my team, but for no major reason. Stat-wise, get a load of this. Last week, 2 tries, 13 tackle breaks, 5 offloads, 2 line breaks, 1 line assist, 24 runs, 148 Supercoach points. On the Bulldogs' seemingly less dominant edge. He is just an absolute goer. Negative 36 break even, averaging a tick under a ton, 567k, bunch of money incoming. No knock on him.
Yeah, I posted a thing about Kiraz last night, and I spoke to him briefly. I don't think it's a one-off thing. He's made this part of his game now to take himself to that next level, to try and do as much work as he possibly can, which I love to hear. So I am going to go him.
Sorry, mate.
No, you go.
My concern, I suppose, in terms of not bringing him in this week is doggies were great, and man, how an opinion can change quickly. And we had so much hype for them up into round 1. They shut the bed round 1, and then we've said, oh, God, maybe this should take a lot longer than we think. Round 2, they pumped Melbourne up. No, they're going to be mad again. Hard to get a gauge on. For that reason alone, I'm like, was it a one-off week? Is it still going to take time? Or Melbourne just not up for it? They had their injuries, perhaps. I don't think so. I think the doggies just blew them off the park. if we do look at Kiraz, there was a bit of word maybe he was playing a little bit underdone back end of last year, but he did the finish last year with scores of, from round 21 onwards, 41, 24, 31, 28, 27. Outside of that, there was a 53, 54, 33, 30, 29. So I'm just thinking at this point of the season where there are so many good buys this week at sort of 570k, sure, we saw the doggies right edge be quite dominant in this game, but I still just think with Flano out there and then we go over to the left edge, that they're going to start getting the brunt of good ball. But on what we've seen, I don't knock the buy. That's just the reasons why I'm going against him.
Yeah, no, completely fair. I also like Tigers this week, Warriors next week.
Oh, yeah.
Good little run there. So I'm going to back him in. I also thought during the World Cup he was very impressive and did a little bit of work with the Lebanon social media team. And the one thing the guy kept saying to me was he's the main voice in the camp. Okay. He is the main guy doing it. He played fullback, obviously, but he reckons that he just matured to another level. So
yeah, and I'm very... It won't be like a... eat your words. In 2 weeks' time, he could be 700k just going, oh, how do I get this bloke in? I can see it happening. Yeah. So,
yep.
It is what it is.
Eli Katoa, your boy, we've sort of already touched on him a little bit, but what do you got stats-wise?
Eli Katoa. Yeah, so we spoke about him last week, about how he got his 54 points in... 54 points it was, without a single attacking stat. This week, mate, the attacking stats came 92 points, 3 line breaks, 3 offloads, 6 tackle breaks, a try contribution. Andy had that disallowed try where I'm pretty sure he cut straight through. Yep. Would have been a line break try. In one sense, it goes against the whole. You actually mentioned, I think, week 1 that was a one-off for a new club where he got his work rate up. Work rate was obviously, work rate was down a little bit this week with all his attacking stats, but we saw the upside. So, I can't wait to own Ellie.
Yeah, no, he did, and you know what? We mentioned on Bloke on Monday, but there was a play that he got 2 line breaks, 2 plays in a row. That's the little extra effort areas that we haven't seen from Ellie over the years. So I love to see that. Mate, your last one is Ben Murdoch-Masila. This has played out exactly as I anticipated it to play out. I'm sure you'll mention it. Had a line break on the weekend for 37 in 72 minutes.
Yeah, that was it. 72 minutes, 37 points of line break in there. So he had 7 runs in that time.
They won by 20.
He had 11 tackles. How? How do you do that?
Yours?
Yeah, so the point was anyone who's like cheap, Dragons look good minutes, like probably an avoid the whole time, but if there's ever been a way to eat, this is it.
72 minutes in a big win for the Dragons, outside Ben Hunt, inside Zach Lomax. Yeah. Line break, 37.
Jack DeBellin to come back.
Yeah, no thanks. No. Hardest of passes on that one. Mate, Nathan Cleary, big talking point. A lot of you had questions about him this week. I've just left all of them out. We'll talk about him now. For me, I'm happy to wait. I know he's going to lose a bit of money, but you're going to have to use 2 to 3 trades to get him back into the side. I'm just going to run with him. I can understand people grabbing the money, but I personally think this Panthers side could come out of this bye as a new side. So I'm going to hold him. I might be biased. I'm obviously a Nath fan, got him in draft and whatnot, but I think you're very, very ballsy to sell.
Yeah, look, I get it. And this is, again, purely looking at money making. And let's tie James Tedesco into this argument as well, because they're the same for me this week. Teddy 836k, Nathan Cleary's at 841k. Both break evens. Like Cleary's a 149 break even. Has the bye this week. Returns against Parramatta. At Parramatta, the Raiders in Canberra, Manly's at home. So it's a tough 3 weeks returning. That being said, Parra and the Raiders are both 0 from 2, so take it as you will. Teddy does the same. So Teddy has the bye next week in round 4. He's got the break-even of 135. After the bye, he comes back and they've got Parramatta, Melbourne, Cronulla. So I understand it. I was looking potentially at going Cleary to Trindle, but now just with the uncertainty over Hines, I can't really do that. I think I'll be holding Cleary at this point, and the reason being is that I don't like anyone replacements for him. Sammy Walker's started well, but has the bye next week, and then has the tough draw. I don't really like anyone else at halfback. Teddy, there are more options for Teddy. So I just think the Roosters are a bit undermanned, especially in the pack. I know they've got a few back this week, but they all still need to prove fitness, namely Cheese. So if he can not score that well this week, and then he has the bye, look, I don't want to sell him, of course I don't, but I can see the merit in it. I do think there are more fullback options to go to for Teddy than there are for Cleary at halfback. So I don't have any strong feelings on holding or selling Cleary or Tedesco. I can see merit in both of it. And this is why I said at the top of the show that I think teams could be blown wide open this week because people that do sell either of those just going to open up a lot of cap space elsewhere, and it could see a lot of diversity in sides, which is fantastic. It's what we want.
Not that points matter at the moment, as we said off the top, but if you are sitting in the top 3,000 to 4,000, you're looking at your team going, I've got no fires to put out here. I've just nailed this. Then I can understand freeing up that cash to really bolster yourself if you've got no other problems. But I think running without Cleary or Teddy at any point outside of the origin period, you're just asking for trouble personally.
Yeah. I mean, all right, I'll put it another way. As a part of my plan, if I were to flip Teddy, let's say we flipped him to the Hammer for the quick cash or Reece Walsh, who, man, I'm tempted by him. He just looked unbelievable. And then looking at, with the Roosters' tough run and the bye next week, Latrell Mitchell, who scored well in absolute gut-busting games, when the Bunnies' draw softens up in 3 weeks' time when, say, Hammer or Reece Walsh peak and Latrell bottoms out, I might not own Teddy, but I could be getting Latrell in. And like, if you're sitting there with Teddy and Turbo, who, look, as far as I'm concerned, if Tommy Turbo's fit, I think he's got to be in your side. So I think in 3 weeks' time, people are going to be sitting there going, Teddy v Latrell, just like we did last year. And Latrell with a soft run.
Fuck.
Latrell with a soft run. I can see why people do it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
But I don't know the answer. Like, I don't think there's a right or wrong at this stage, or there is. I don't know what the answer is, but
yeah, I just think you're risking a lot, and I think you're risking the genuine captain option that could separate you every week as well, which worries me.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I think there's options for Teddy. I don't think there's great options for Cleary at this point. So
I think if you're sitting really pretty and you don't have Isaiah Katoa, then you can maybe look at Cleary. But I still think you're just gambling a little bit too much, personally. All right, sit v starts. We'll go through these quickly. Mate, when I had a look at my team this week, I've really happy with my bench. I'm going to be playing Olaquatu, Cartwright, Jacob Preston, and then James Tedesco. I think I might.
Elite bench.
Yeah, very happy with the bench. As far as the CTW goes, Taruva obviously not featuring this week. So we've got Campiera, Will Warbrick, Alamotti, Isaac Thompson, those sort of guys. I'm playing Isaac Thompson, and I'm going to play Alamotti. Campiera, I don't want to rely on tries, and Warbrick, he's just getting no fucking ball whatsoever. Not confident on Isaac Thompson over him, but that's the direction I'm leaning to. What are you thinking?
Yes, I mean, Hand probably forced a little bit this week off the back of Cleary being out, being out, and Taruva being out. So my CT dub pretty well picks itself. We've got Val there. Alamotti playing against the Tigers, I think is a great matchup. Warbrick, as you said, not confident. I don't mind the Titans matchup, but I don't think that's going to be the walkover people are anticipating. And then I've got Isaac Thompson there at the moment, but Isaac Thompson's also potentially in my trade plans this week.
Yep.
So if I flip him out, it depends who I'd be going to. But, so I've got Toto on my CTW bench, Taruva there, and then Khan Pereira, who, good Lord, look, I'm not playing him in my side at the moment. So, so my CTW, even pending trades, pretty well picks itself, and it's weak this week. I'm scared about it. I really am concerned. So I said Tommy Turbo picks himself there. Jacob Preston will pick himself. Butcher's likely going to become Eli Katoa, and then it'll just be choosing the fourth. I've also got Luke Garner in my side. So, as I said, unfortunately this week I'm a little light on maybe Isaiah Katoa, a sneaky one against the Knights down there.
I'm playing Isaiah Katoa starting halfback, and I'm more than happy with that. I think he'll do well this week.
Yes, yep. And then I think Reid Marnie's going to come into my side as well, so he'll be on the bench for me too.
Yep, I like the Reid Marnie play. And as much as I'm negative on him, I think if you've got Hammer this week, he's a definite play.
Agreed, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it's going to be a nervous watch this week at CTW for me. I'm really, even if two of those, outside of Val, if two of my three, and to be fair, a lot of people are going to be in the same boat, but if I am carrying Garner, Cleary, Taruva, Toto this week, I need hopefully 2 of my 3 at least just to punch out 40 to 45 at least.
Yeah.
Can't afford 2 10s in there.
Yeah. No, I'm really happy with my team as it is right now. I have got Isaiah Katoa at halfback and I've got Tanner Boyd at hooker this week, so I'm not stoked about that, but I think I'll be moving Tanner on pretty quickly. I've done my 3 trades this week. I've got 800k sitting in the bank and KP in my team still, so I'll be looking to,
Tanner's a... I have to play,
Are you going to have to play? I think most people are going to have to play Tanner.
At this stage, I'm going to have to play him. And look, maybe he's in trade plans as well. As I said, I'm wide open with trades this week.
Yeah.
There are so many different avenues, so I genuinely don't know at this stage. But as it stands, I am playing Tanner Boyd.
As much as Tanner is a problem at the moment, he's a godsend at the same time that I could trade a cheese to a halfback or a 5'8".
It's the dual position.
Yeah, it's the best. Yeah, and to that, it was almost worth having Tanner in the fucking side.
Yeah. So
I'm happy to for 40 odd points to be able to make moves I'd rather make. I seriously considered Reid Marnie. I sort of had to make a decision. I go on Marnie or Kiraz. I'm going to back Kiraz in to be a proper CTW this year.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I like the Reid Marnie move though. Looks good.
He just looks elite, doesn't he? And we sort of spoke about it on a few different podcasts, but he plays a bigger role in attack at the Doggies, doesn't he? Parramatta, it was early ball for Brown and Moses. At the Doggies, he's such an integral part in their attacking sets. He just looks outstanding.
Yep.
And I think the best thing about him is he could be the number 2 hooker to Harry Grant this year. And he could get to 750k and sit there. He might not, but worst case, I think he makes good coin for us and he's a rock solid player in 17s. And if he does get to that 657, 800k, whatever it might be, 8's probably ambitious. Flip him down to whoever it might be in 3, 4, 5 weeks.
Yep. Let's roll through some of your questions. We'll get through these pretty quickly because I think we've covered a lot of them. From more Jimmy, quick beginner's rundown. How do prices work? Just want to give us, for a person that's just starting out, how does it work?
Yeah, so we spoke about the break-even, but there's method behind how that break-even is calculated. It works on your 3-game rolling average. So if you score 90 points over the first 3 rounds, your rolling average is 30 points, and then that dictates what your magic number, the break-even, will be. So if you've played 1 game, your price doesn't change. 2 games, your price doesn't change. When it gets to that 3rd game, your first changes will come in. So an example of that would be, look at all the teams on the buys. Tommy Trbojevic, he'll play this week. His price will stay the same because he's only played the 2 games. It won't change till after 3 games. And you mentioned it earlier, Guru, but the 2nd game this week, if you score, so your round 2 score, more important than your round 1 score, because after this week, your round 1 score will drop out of that 3-round rolling average.
Yeah, for sure. And I think if there's any cheapies that maybe you didn't get this week, that if they go 100 plus this week, you have to seriously then consider them because that's going to sit there for 3 weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah, so plenty to consider there. This one comes from Bosco Harris. Too early for a boost? No. I think if you don't boost this week, you're probably doing something wrong.
I have a feeling I might have even finished the season last year with a boost up my sleeve.
I did.
Yeah, I think I might have had 2 pretty deep into the comp, and I was fine with it. It didn't worry me. So it's still so early days with the boost, isn't it? And I still want to use mine around the Origin period, and we'll get into that down the track a little bit more as we get close to Origin. But I like to save 2 to 3 of mine for that period. But this is a key week for it.
This is the week you have to do it.
Yeah, players are about to make a stack of cash. You know which players haven't performed for you, which haven't got the minutes or the roles you wanted. So I think this is a great week for it.
Yeah, especially when you think about what's a trade worth. Use a trade properly this week, it's worth 300k.
Yeah.
You have to do it.
Yeah, if you're not using a boost this week, your team is sitting very pretty.
Yep, 100%. And even if your team is sitting pretty, there must be somewhere you can improve or do something. Okay, next one comes... Oh, Jesus, I did it again.
The late voice crack.
Next one comes from James G. Falling on our sword with Hammer and Sloan. Hammer, I'm not buying him, but yes, I'm happy to fall on my sword there. Sloan, 1 game. Looks great, looks sensational. Don't bring him in this week. Wait there. If he gets injured, anything next week, if he gets HIA'd, if he does his normal shit where he scores a 10, all of a sudden he averages 30 again. Just wait.
Yeah, ditto, mate. Hammer, I'm half on the sword. Let's see him do it over the next 2 weeks. But you know, if he does it again this week, which against the Knights, he very well may. Happy to cop the medicine. And Sloan, it was 1 week.
Yep.
Let's see how he goes against Brisbane this week.
From the great Dylan, is CNK to Hammer worth a trade considering long-term cash and current break-evens? We said before with CNK, we think we wait. If you go on a Hammer, I can understand it, but I can't imagine that there isn't another guy in your team that might be more suited to this.
Yeah, I'm the same. I wouldn't. She said, surely there even like an Isaac Thompson or someone there that can maybe flip instead. or maybe it is an underperforming gun who you flip down and just make that cash play. But I understand it. I'm not fully against it.
Cody Sosso says Grant or Marnie. Do you go for the big points in Grant or do you take the cash in Reid Marnie? I don't think he's going to score that much far behind Grant over the next few weeks.
I think Marnie's the play. I'm a very, very happy Harry Grant owner, but without Nass there now, we've already mentioned that no cheese. Just the go forward of Melbourne concerns me. Like, is he going to get the ruck speed to quick play the balls? Potentially not. So he won't be leaving my team anytime soon. But in terms of that one, again, just back to cash. Marnie's about to make hopefully a stack of cash. Potentially be a keeper. He could outscore him in that time, so I think you take the cash and you get Marnie.
As you said, potential keeper. I think the thing I like about Marnie is that he almost definitely will play throughout the origin period. You know Grant won't.
Yeah.
It's Reid for me.
And Marnie, if he does flatten out in the next 2 to 3 weeks, every chance, you move him on to Grant then.
Yep. Next one comes from Trojan95, says Tohu Harris or Eli Katoa. Classic example. Tohu Harris, the better player. Eli Katoa, money there.
Yep. Touched on that one before around Tohu Harris. Eli Katoa's got the money coming in, so chase the money.
Gareth Kidd, brave or stupid to anti-pon Isaiah Katoa. Money to be made elsewhere. Concern the Fids fade. There is money to be made elsewhere, but there's definitely money to be made on Isaiah Katoa, in my opinion.
Yeah. I had him one of my top 5 cheapies for the week, but I don't know. If the Dolphins do regress and he gets limited opportunity, he's not goal kicking there. I don't think it's stupid to anti-pod. The only thing is, he's worth 200k. He's got a low break even.
He's dual. It just helps.
I don't think you can go too far wrong.
Yeah.
I think worst case he makes his 80 to 100k and then has 2 stinkers and we flip him for 100, and he gets to 320k. And, maybe we trade him to a Matty Burton at 500k with a bit of cash. So I think he's pretty safe.
And I think we both agree that we do both agree that the Finns will fade eventually. They're not going to fall off a cliff.
No.
They're going to be okay for the next few weeks. They play the Knights this week. He'll score well there, I believe. So, yeah, I'd be going with him. Matty Dangerfield, is it worth bringing in Trindle? We covered this. We don't really need to go through this again. Bo Hayden, crazy to stay with Burton or do I need to move off? Welcome to the Burton seesaw. Looked great last week. I thought the doggies looked fantastic. Check the score after. 29.
How about, was it one of the posts there that someone's saying, it was a Beers and Break, he was supposed to a playbook Wobbit saying, swallow your pride on this one, got that one on, boys, on Burton. It's like, he killed him and he scored 30 points.
30?
Yeah.
He's the goal kicker.
Yeah. Yeah. So, look, a reluctant sell in the sense that they're playing the Tigers, they're playing the Warriors. He didn't score well, but the doggies look terrific. So I think there's points incoming for Burton, but he's got a break even of 123. He's 594k. I think you've got to move him on, and I tell you what, my eye will be on him hopefully at 500k in 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, if I'm swallowing that pride, I'm going hungry just quietly. That's a tough one. All right, what have we got? Okay, am I biggest trade target to my mag considering trading Teddy? We've done all those. Matt O'Keefe, best Ponga replacement. I'm going to wait a week for Ponga because I want to bring in Josh Schuster in 2 weeks or so. That's the move I'm going to make. If you haven't got Adam Dewey, is he a must-have guy?
Adam Dewey is your man. If you don't have Isaiah Katoa, you can flip him down easily. I heard some very light rumblings, and it could be nothing, so don't panic, just around potentially Dewey in a bit of doubt this week. So
I've heard it too.
It's just monitor it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want him to say come out. If there's nothing to it, I think Dewey, he's the man. He scored 56 against the Knights and did nothing, and the Tigers were horrible. So I think Dewey's the man or Isaiah Katoa.
Matty O'Keefe coming again. He's double dipped the chip. Is Carraz a legit gun, CTW, or a cash cow, or both? I think he's going to be both. Where do you sit right now? Guns ahead, I won't hold it against you, but what do you reckon?
Bit of a fence sitter on this one. I think... I don't know. I think he can be a gun, but I'll be honest, it's a pretty small sample size.
Yep.
So I'm far from convinced he's a gun. But in terms of trading options, as we said, he just pumped out 148. So he's going to make a ton of cash, worst case scenario, and then you flip him for 700k.
Yep.
So you can't go wrong with the trade.
Now, we've sort of already covered this. This is from Tyson James. His question is, I've got the money, Pele to Tohu. Tohu is coming up a lot. So I think it's worth touching on him. He's another guy that when Jazz comes back into this side, which is on the extended bench this week, I can't see a world where he plays 80 minutes the entire season. I think we're sort of seeing the peak of him. I think that as the season goes on, he will fall back to about a 60-point average goal, which is still good, but I can't see him doing this every single week. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think he plays it. It'll kill the poor bugger if he plays 80 every week. Just said Jazz back, so I'm not keen on it. The only way I could make a case for it would be is if Pele or Moali or Shaq or someone was your second front rower and you needed to plug a spot for your on-field points each week.
Yep.
In which case, cool, I get it, but like a lot of people are sitting there with at least one gun front rower and then, say, Stefano Udakamanu. I'd be happy. I am rolling with that. I'm happy to go with that. You know, if you don't own Stefano, just go Pele to Stefano. I think they're better value money-making options than Tohu, and I just think that money could be better spent elsewhere. Tohu, let's see him do it for 3 or 4 more weeks. Since 2018, Darusi stat last night, Tohu has 1 ton, and it was like 104.
Yep.
Which shows that he bangs out like 70 every week. He's an animal, but not this week.
Yeah, I think that there's a really good chance if you buy him this week, you might have missed the best of him. And I just don't think it'll be worth your while. And he doesn't have that upside, as you said.
They've had injuries on field and what the last couple of weeks, so there's every chance his mints were inflated as well. Yeah,
100%. Okay, mate, captains this week to finish off. Turbo and Hopgood play Thursday. Makes life very, very interesting. Outside of that, Harry Grant's jumping out at me, maybe. But, yeah, I don't know. Who are you thinking?
I'm so torn.
Yeah.
So...
Bro, I've got written down here, Kiraz LOL.
Yeah.
I've got no idea.
Yeah. I don't think... It sounds like it won't happen, but the Saturday 5:30, if Val were to play fullback, I think I'd take that.
Yeah.
But if I do hold on to Tedesco this week, which I might not, I'll probably just whack the C on him, which I'm not happy about, but I don't love options. And it's like the VC is probably going to be Tom Trebojevic, but C, Jermaine Hopgood, like, do you just lock in he gets you his 70 to 75 we've seen his upside. Dude's an animal, so maybe it's just Hopgood. Maybe just play it safe this week. I hate doing it because I want the high ceiling. I want the high ceiling captain, but at the same time, he scored 124 last week. So what more do you want? And
I think we look at Turbo's score of 99 last time and go, "Wow, that was so impressive." But he was hobbling around. Like I think he's far from 100% still. I like Turbo, but I'm leaning towards Hopgood at the moment.
Para 0 from 2 concerns me that a bit like the Raiders, they have to get up for this game.
Look, I'll bang on about it all year, but coming off a bye, you got 2 weeks to prepare for sides. Parramatta's got a lot of guys out there that normally wouldn't be out there. A lot of guys that you can target in that side too, realistically. Between your Bryce Cartwrights, your Dories, these sort of guys. You got big middles playing huge minutes. You can take advantage of that. I just worry that Manly can come into this with a really good game plan to beat them. So, interesting few weeks for Parramatta.
And that's it. And if I was leaning towards something, I'd tell you. But at the moment, I don't know. I spend the whole start of my week just researching, reading up, doing podcasts, speaking to you, speaking to other people. And then I get to Thursday afternoon and go, all right, the information's all there. What are we doing?
Yeah. So, and I think, you mentioned James Tedesco there. Granted, didn't score overly well last week, 55. He should have scored 3 tries.
Exactly.
Just didn't pass him the fucking ball. Granted, it's South Sydney, different beast, and they've got their middles coming back. That's what I don't like Teddy as a captain this week, but I don't think it's a bad option because I don't think there's a standout.
I wish Val was playing fullback. He'd be my play.
Yeah? Yeah, I don't know if I'd have the balls to do it, but...
Not at centre, though.
Not at centre. No. No way. All right, mate. We done and dusted here?
All done, mate.
Time to hit the frog. Guys, make sure you reach out to Blue Wealth Property. They're making investing in property easy for you, and the standout thing for us is just how easily they explain everything to us.
Yeah.
It's the best thing about it.
Couldn't recommend. I said, you mentioned that the links to the seminars are in the bio there, mate, or the detailed description of the YouTube video. If you're around the area, it'd be, 45 an hour every night, midweek, whenever they do it, Friday night. Couldn't recommend it anymore. I've sat out through one of them, spoken to the boys. Holy shit, I learned a lot.
Yeah, well worth it. So, yeah, in the description, you can find the links. If not, reach out to myself, reach out to Timmy, reach out to Blue Wealth yourself and just tell them Beers and Breakeven. Please tell them Beers and Breakeven sent you.
Yeah,
but a few people have taken that avenue, which has been unreal.
Yeah.
Or already people reaching out. So great to see. Guys, thank you. We will be back next week. Romeo, make sure you reach out. beersandbreakevens@gmail.com. Maybe slip some nudes in there, Romeo. Real old-fashioned stuff, all right?
Romeo, reach out, you good-looking bastard.
Ooh, lovely. All right, me and Tim will see you guys next week, and I'll have that trophy back in front of me. Cheers.